What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Tom Aspinall has officially fired back at Dana White following the UFC 321 controversy, and he did not hold back. After Dana publicly suggested that Tom should have continued fighting despite the eye poke, Aspinall responded with clear frustration, explaining exactly why that idea was unrealistic and dangerous. According to Aspinall, his vision was severely compromised, and continuing the fight was never an option. He revealed that doctors are still evaluating the damage and that surgery is possible depending on how his eye responds in the coming weeks. He isn't training, sparring, or doing any form of MMA work right now, strictly following medical orders until further notice. Any hopes of a quick comeback have been effectively shut down. While addressing Dana's comments, Aspinall emphasized that he refused to continue because he isn't a dummy. He made it clear that no fighter should blindly step forward against one of the best strikers in the world while dealing with double vision in both eyes. He compared the situation to previous injuries, noting that getting punched or kicked in the eye is part of the sport, but suffering a double eye poke caused by a foul is entirely different. In his words, risking permanent damage just to satisfy critics would have been reckless. Aspinall then turned his attention to Cyril Gane, and his criticism was even harsher. He insisted the poke was not an accident, claiming Gane had his fingers extended toward his eyes for the entire round. Aspinall outright called Gane a big cheater, accusing him of repeatedly pointing his fingers at his face until the worst-case scenario finally happened. Fans are already buzzing about a potential rematch, especially since the fight looked competitive and unlike Tom's usual dominant first-round finishes. But for now, Aspinall's focus is on recovering, protecting his long-term health, and making sure he returns only when fully ready. As he put it, no fighter should be expected to continue when they can't see at all because of a foul, and he refuses to risk his career for the sake of a narrative. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Joe Rogan has officially weighed in on the growing conversation surrounding Khamzat Chimaev's discipline after Michael Bisping revealed some surprising inside information. According to Bisping, people close to Chimaev have to monitor him during training camps because of his well-known sweet tooth. He shared that Chimaev would stash candy bars in his drawers, even weeks before a major fight, and laugh it off when confronted. Despite these habits, Chimaev still pushed through and captured UFC gold, going 5 rounds with Dricus du Plessis. But that performance sparked new debate rather than ending the old one. Many fans and analysts argued that the fight didn't truly test Chimaev's gas tank. Du Plessis spent long stretches on his back and never forced Chimaev into the kind of grueling pace that exposes conditioning issues. As a result, questions remain about whether Chimaev's discipline and lifestyle can hold up now that he's champion and every top contender is hunting him. When asked about the criticism, Chimaev dismissed the talk, saying he doesn't care about rumors or online chatter. But Joe Rogan offered a deeper perspective during a recent episode of his podcast. Rogan addressed Chimaev's talent, work ethic, and what he believes the fighter must change if he wants to remain at the top. He emphasized the importance of structure and discipline, describing it as a form of art. Rogan explained that true discipline is beautiful to witness, like watching someone fully commit to the grind, similar to figures like David Goggins. He argued that people often claim they don't care what anyone thinks, but in reality, most do. According to Rogan, people care about criticism, care about praise, and, more importantly, care about the example others set. He noted that seeing others live positive, driven lives can serve as powerful fuel. Rogan said, "This is one of the reasons he loves conversations and loves podcasting. People inspire each other." And in Chimaev's case, Rogan believes that with just a bit more discipline, he could reach an entirely different level in his career. The question now is whether the champion will refine his habits or continue betting on raw talent alone. Move on to another news. Michael Chandler has officially confirmed that his long-awaited fight with Conor McGregor is locked in for June 2026, set to take place at the historic White House event, which will be broadcast live on CBS. If everything holds together, this could realistically become the most watched UFC event in history. Dana White is fully committed to making it a spectacle, even stating that the event will remain outdoors regardless of the weather, even if it snows. Behind the scenes, production costs are skyrocketing. Reports suggest that the UFC may spend $20 million or more, potentially surpassing the budget of the massive UFC Sphere event in Las Vegas. However, fans expecting an Avengers-style supercard may need to adjust their expectations. According to MMA Junkie's Mike Bohn, early discussions indicate that the card will feature big names and high high-profile fights, but not an all-star lineup of every reigning champion. The Vision seems to be a card built around major draws. Fighters like Conor McGregor, Kayla Harrison, and other popular stars who bring in massive numbers. But fans shouldn't expect every elite champion, John Jones, Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, and others, to appear all on the same night. Still, with 6 months to go, and the UFC's reputation for last-minute surprises, anything remains possible. Chandler also addressed fans who wondered why he didn't call out McGregor again during his most recent appearance. He explained that there was no need to repeat himself, especially not at a wrestling event. The fight has already been agreed upon, and both sides are preparing. According to Chandler, McGregor has even brought in training partners specifically to mimic his style. Chandler emphasized that the matchup has been signed, sealed, and delivered since June 24, and that McGregor intends to honor the agreement in June 26. For Chandler, everything now points toward the showdown at the White House, an event he believes will be one of the biggest moments in UFC history. He closed by saying, "I'll fight Conor at the White House in June. God bless. See you at the top." Move on to another news. Charles Oliveira has officially shut down the rumors surrounding a supposed UFC 324 fight announcement. The confusion began when UFC Brazil accidentally posted, and quickly deleted, a graphic claiming that Oliveira and Max Holloway were set to fight for the BMF title. According to later reports, this matchup was part of the early planning for UFC 324, but the tweet was published by mistake before anything was finalized. Over the weekend, the rumor spread rapidly, with fans and media outlets speculating that the fight was locked in for January. But Oliveira has now clarified the situation. In a video posted to his Instagram story, he explained that nothing is confirmed yet, and that he is currently on vacation with his family. He stressed that the leaked date is inaccurate. Oliveira stated that while he and Holloway both want the fight, and fans want it as well, the matchup will not happen in January under any circumstances. He said negotiations are underway, and the UFC is working on the contract, but the targeted timeframe is March or April, not early in the year as rumored. Oliveira said the team expects official news soon, acknowledging that when rumors begin circulating, it usually means discussions are active behind the scenes. He reassured fans that the fight will happen, but emphasized patience as the UFC finalizes details. For now, the former lightweight champion is prioritizing time with his family while the negotiations continue. The potential matchup with Holloway, especially with the BMF title involved, has already generated massive excitement, and Oliveira believes more updates are coming in the near future. Move on to another news. Khamzat Chimaev has officially responded to Alex Pereira's cryptic message that recently stirred up the MMA world. Earlier this week, Pereira posted a mysterious caption, 2-1 Uche Shama, which immediately sparked speculation across social media. Fans and analysts debated what he was hinting at. Some believed he was talking about earning a third major title, while others thought he might be teasing a move to heavyweight or signaling future plans involving Chimaev. The post generated so much discussion that it quickly became one of the most talked about topics online. Many thought Pereira was subtly calling out Chimaev or referencing previous interactions between the two. But just when things started to settle, Chimaev jumped back into the conversation. In a surprising reply to Pereira's post, Chimaev commented simply, "1.chime." The response added even more confusion and intrigue. Fans began theorizing about its meaning. Was Chimaev dismissing Pereira's message, saying the math doesn't add up, or implying something deeper about their potential matchup? Regardless of interpretation, the comment reignited excitement about the possibility of the two finally meeting inside the octagon. A fight between Alex Pereira and Khamzat Chimaev would be one of the most explosive matchups the UFC could make. Pereira's elite striking and knockout power paired against Chimaev's relentless wrestling pressure and unpredictability would create a massive stylistic clash. Both men are fan favorites, both are dominant forces in their divisions, and both command huge attention every time they speak or fight. The question now is simple. Would fans want to see Alex Pereira versus Khamzat Chimaev? And, more importantly, who would come out on top if that blockbuster fight becomes a reality? Move on to another news. Renato Moicano is placing the blame squarely on Arman Tsarukyan for what he believes is the current chaos in the lightweight division. The controversy began after the UFC announced that Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett would headline UFC 324 in an interim lightweight title fight, a decision that has sparked criticism across the MMA community. According to Moicano, the entire situation is the direct result of Tsarukyan pulling out at UFC 311. Moicano recently appeared on the Stand Me Up podcast, where he argued that Pimblett hasn't earned a title opportunity based on his resume. He questioned the quality of Pimblett's wins, pointing out that his most notable victories have been over fighters on losing streaks. Who did he beat in the division? Moicano asked. Michael Chandler coming off 4 or 5 losses, Tony Ferguson with 8 losses, Bobby Green coming off 3 losses. He hasn't beaten anyone in the top 15 yet it's getting a title shot. His frustration reflects a growing sentiment among fans and fighters who feel the matchup is driven more by popularity than merit. But Moicano didn't stop there. He argued that Tsarukyan's withdrawal from his scheduled title bout against Islam Makhachev earlier in the year created a ripple effect that derailed the division's natural progression. When Moicano stepped in on short notice and lost to Makhachev, he believes the division fell into disarray. If Arman had fought that night, the division would have kept moving, he said. He added that Ilia Topuria is currently dealing with personal issues and isn't ready to compete, which leaves the UFC scrambling for title matchups. In Moicano's view, the GFG versus Pimblett interim belt is unnecessary and illegitimate. For me, this is going to be a paper champ. That's not an undisputed champion, he said. It doesn't make sense to create an interim title when Topuria will be champion anyway. While no one can say for sure what would have happened if Tsarukyan had fought Makhachev at UFC 311, his withdrawal unquestionably damaged his standing with the promotion. Even after defeating Dan Hooker at UFC Qatar, many believe he still hasn't fully recovered from the fallout. The lightweight division remains one of the most unpredictable in the UFC, and according to Moicano, much of that instability traces back to one missed fight. Move on to another news. New footage has surfaced of a heated encounter between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria in Qatar, adding fuel to one of the UFC's most personal rivalries. Earlier this year, fans were surprised when harmless footage emerged showing both fighters crossing paths without any drama. But this newly released clip shows a far more intense exchange, one that aligns with the fiery history between the two. Pimblett and Topuria have been taking shots at each other for years, firing insults in interviews, press conferences, and across social media. Back in March at the ceremonial weigh-ins for UFC London, the MMA world was stunned when the rivals briefly shook hands. But much has changed since then. Topuria now holds the UFC lightweight title, and if Pimblett defeats Justin Gaethje in January to claim the interim belt, the two could be headed toward a massive showdown in 2026. It appears the era of mutual respect is officially over. In the latest video posted by Pimblett, the two fighters trade heated words upon unexpectedly crossing paths in Qatar. The clip shows a tense atmosphere as they exchange verbal jabs, with neither backing down. Pimblett later commented on the moment, pointing out that Topuria always seems confident only when surrounded by his team. He only ever tries something when I'm on my own and he's 20 men deep, Pimblett said. And even then, he didn't actually do anything, just walk toward me. The rivalry between these two continues to intensify, and with both fighters potentially on a collision course for gold, tensions are only expected to rise. Fans now eagerly await whether circumstances will line up for one of the most anticipated grudge matches in modern UFC history.